Good morning. Welcome back for the last session. I thought today we can start with a review of yesterday's topic before we continue with this aspect of the bigger picture and the longer journey.
Each phase has its own quality. For the Brahmin, there is love for knowledge. The deity, there is happiness. For the warrior, there is the energy of courage. The merchant, it is the energy of comfort seeking. The Shudra of laziness. And the demon of sorrow. In the Brahmin phase, there is love for knowledge, simplicity, cleanliness, community-minded spirit, interested in higher truth, wisdom and God. In the deity phase, energy of happiness, contentment, love and being peaceful, there is perfection. He would climb Mount Everest just for fun. A deity would be an ideal friend. They are lucky. In the warrior phase, there is courage. Why did they lose the energy of happiness of the deity? With attachment in the story, it leads to the victim, beggar and slave mindset. As a result of bondage, there is fear, so courage is needed. Other energy is competition, risk-taking, fighting or dominating. They would climb Mount Everest with competitive energy and put up the flag. The merchant energy is of transaction, money, opulence. They would make a show. It's an inner stage. It's not dependent on the outer trade. There can be a merchant doctor, for example. There would be love for food. Mount Everest, they wouldn't go, but they might sell the tickets. They are further down the spiral of mind. The Shudra energy is of laziness, dullness, getting the wrong end of the stick. There is indulgence, looking for the next hit. They won't climb Mount Everest, they'll watch it on the adventure show on TV. Finally, the demon has the energy of sorrow, seeing the defects, what is wrong, missing the 100 good things, and brings others down. The opposite is the Brahmin, who sees the goodness in others and can bring others up. The time comes for every soul when we decide to jump out of this lower state. We don't like this feeling. We get to the point where enough is enough. If you become the Prime Minister, what would your policy be? If one created a deity community with a deity mind, you don't need gold and diamonds. In fact, you have the method. You don't need to be the Prime Minister for this. Make it easy for others. Those who are interested will take advantage. The results are guaranteed.
Thank you and welcome back and over to Prashant.
Hello and welcome back. And thank you for the quick summary. And congratulations for reaching the finale. Truly, this whole thing is the beginning, and journey continues. It is like the Brahmin phase going into another gear, and there is a lot to achieve for the self and for the world. So welcome to the journey, pilgrimage. Let us start with a few reminders. Most important reminder for us is the option paras. And this is a game changer in a second. Because paras absolutely favors the invisible prince, invisible traveler is the invisible prince. He knows he's very, very lucky forever. Eternal prince. Life where there is no harm and so completely carefree. A region of happiness and a mind of happiness. Happiness comes with friends. So it's a region of love. Everyone is lovely, loving, and worthy of love. And all are lucky forever. World of perfection. All we have done is stepped behind the world of camel and elephant. And we are seeing this dimension, the real world. We call it alaukic, unearthly. And from here, the story is also a perfect story. When we see the story as story, there is no complaint about camel and elephant. No one is doing anything wrong. No one is wrong. And nothing is wrong. That is the way the script is in the story. The mind of the one who is conscious, it is a deity mind. And everything is auspicious. Heart, clean heart, rich heart, but also rich head. He says everyone is good, but coming from wisdom. Thank you. Now today we got this short time, and we are then will be joined. We are going to be connected to India and transmission from India afterwards. So we are coming to the subject of cosmology today. We have seen different aspects. We have seen the psychology part, and we will be seeing today cosmology. We saw sociology. At some point, you will be reading more about theology also. And in this cosmology, the big questions that arise, and we all have these questions within us, where this world came from. These are the questions that exist in science, trying to understand, explain where this world came from. These are questions in philosophy, and these are the questions in religion. All religions are trying to explain this. So religions might say God created it. That is the way it is. And that is the position of religion. Philosophy, many ideas. It's very, very interesting and models in philosophy. And in science also, there are many models where this world came from. Some models are popular, some are less popular. We hear about Big Bang and those kind of things, but there are other models and other ideas in science. But when you speak to the authorities in this, science, philosophy, and religion, in all religions, if you speak at some level, those who don't know about religion, if you ask them, they will be fanatic about things. But when you speak to those who know religions, those who are authority of religion, ask them if they have the answer. Are you sure about what you are talking about? And you will get an answer, we don't know. Not sure. It is a nice model. We are proposing it, but don't know. So this is the bottom line. So to go further, there are some, debating about things, and that becomes irrelevant when those who are talking about this, they themselves say their system is incomplete. Their models, there are contradictions within their own model. For example, in science, Big Bang model, which is very popular, taught in all schools all over the world. And that Big Bang took place with infinite energy. There was this infinite energy and bang, where it should happen somewhere. So, and that is where the universe emerged. This is the model. You ask them, where does infinite energy come from? And answer is don't know. That fits in within the equation. So there is this infinite energy all of a sudden. And there is some blind eye, you sort of say, maybe you will have some explanation in time. But that is what religions also say, and that is what everyone else says. So the bottom line is we do not know. Also want to say in this context, one cosmologist in Oxford by name Julian Barber, and his book is called The End of Time. You may be able to watch his YouTube interviews. And Julian Barber, and based in Oxford. Book is End of Time, but he might have written other books also. And what he says, the whole book is very not easy reading. It is full of equations and quantum physics. But what he's telling us that whole history is irrelevant, because based upon present, we cannot know the past. This is his argument. And let's say if you show him a bone, okay, I can say the bone is here now, that is in the present. Because there is a bone there, that bone existed yesterday. And where is the evidence? In quantum physics, there is a rationality in that thinking. So there is no evidence. Have you seen it? Have you experienced it? Then there is some argument there. If it was not experienced, it is a projection based upon the present, not necessarily scientific. And then if you said some animal existed million years ago because there is a bone here, then it becomes whole thing in our head. This whole belief, it becomes just a belief in our head, not scientific. Science says that this exists now, this is what I can experience. The whole past, he calls it a projection. Because the universe itself, how it exists, it has to be questioned. So worth looking into his thinking, but it is a different model of the world. It is not a model the way Big Bang thinks so. It is a different thinking. All model itself is different. How this world exists. The book is called The End of Time. So here, this all gives us some preparation for understanding the way what possibly exists. Also want to say the model that we are teaching in science, in schools, and there are many things that don't fit in, cannot be explained. Any model has value if it can explain all the observed phenomena. Various things that you observe, if it can be explained, if you suddenly cannot explain something that is observed, then it is less likely to be true. And here there are many things we cannot explain in this model. And then they create a box. That box is called paranormal. And put these things in that box called paranormal. And we carry on as if everything else is now so clear to us. Then there's something called paranormal. But that box called paranormal is getting bigger and bigger in time. And there has to be explanation to this phenomena that happens. So it tells us that our model may not be right. And we need a different way of understanding this world. Feel free if you want to say anything. Today's will be more abstract. Our discussion will be more abstract, but we will be going at a speed. And Sarah, want to add anything?
So far, it's good. Yeah, appreciating that we need to take a step back to see what we've just blindly sort of believed as the way things are. So we first need to establish what has been verified in a model which includes more things, rather than just explaining them away with labels such as paranormal. I think it's very helpful to process that first. And so we can see there are different models now.
Yeah, nice. Now, in this, here we are making an attempt to see this world based on the ideas we have spoken. In other models, huge limitation, you are trying to explain the models completely excluding the soul. It is almost like trying to teach, trying to treat someone with high blood pressure, but I don't want to know about the heart. Heart doesn't exist, and I'm treating a patient, and think that I am very clever for not believing in heart. It is as absurd as that. When seen from Paras, any system that just ignores, the most important you, that is the way the Patthar system is. So here, what we are doing, we start with Paras, and we are seeing the big map. We are understanding the invisible side of our reality. And so in this model, we all exist eternally as these invisible players. And we all have a home. And all exist in this home, maybe in silence. There is no experience of the theater. They know of their immortality. They know of their being beyond harm. So there is silent peace and silent happiness. That is their home. And the physical world, outside of that line is the physical world, physical reality. And in this model, the physical world exists as a film. So this physical world is not like a, in the way the Big Bang model explains, but it exists as a film. And you may have to think, what does this mean, film? Film means there are many, many slides. They are experienced by the audience. Here the audience is the souls are the audience. Is it okay? So far, so good? Are you with us? And now we come in the physical world. And as was said, here is a film. And this film is a circular film. We come in this physical world, we go through this experience, and then we go back. It's a circular film. Let us see if I can draw this again.
Good for Easter.
Yeah. So from our home, there is a time when we come in the physical world. There is a time of entry and a time of exit. But in this model, because it is the same film getting repeated, that's why we have shown it in the model of a circle. But film, there is a beginning, there is an end. And because the beginning comes again, that's why we are showing it in the form of the circle. It is not circle in a physical, it's not a physical circle. It is a circle in time. Just a film, in a film that is repeated. That's all we are talking about. And film, when you are understanding the film, here in this model, we are saying this film is fixed. It is not something that we can change, and that it is a fixed film. And in this film, we go through different experiences in the film. For example, when we first start this journey, there is a time when our inner life is 100% soul conscious. As we go through our journey, at the end, our inner life is near 100% into Patthar. And we are lost into the story with attachments and ego, and so we are gone, and that's the drowning in that story. Seed remains, and we never, the seed is there, represented by the tiny dot. When our inner life is 100% perfect, as is shown here, when we are 100% soul conscious, there are no Vinash forces. So outer life reflects our inner life. in outer life, what you are attracting are forces of honor. Remember, Vinash forces are to punish us, or it brings pain. But here, the inner life is, there is perfection, and so outer world comes with the forces of honor, which means there is a perfection of people, perfection of the body, health and plenty. It is in internally he is having richness and external richness and perfection. That's what he experiences. That's the way he starts. He goes through different experiences, journey continues. There is birth, death, birth, death. That journey continues. So in this journey, this is in the film. It is not just same part continues through the film. The different episodes begin, end, begin, end. So that continues. The film is going past different scenes. But when this inner life is of perfection and outer world is of perfection, that time we can call it the golden age. It is a golden age of mankind. All round perfection. As the inner life gradually changes, we do not remain in that perfect state forever. We get into attachments and ego. Then outer world also changes, and we call this silver age of mankind. When we reach halfway point, that inner life also becomes halfway towards Patthar. The change is happening, the attachments are increasing, and the soul consciousness has reached 50%. And that is the moment of a fall of mankind. Human beings are not worthy of Garden of Eden. They are sent to earth. That is the moment. The momentum is downwards. Even though they realize they are falling, they can't stop it either. Ravan is in full momentum at that time. And so there is no chance of they reversing it. So golden age, silver age, we can call it the heaven on earth. Because inner perfection, fullness, we are talking about deity inner life. And the outer world is of perfection, beauty, and harmony. It is a reflection of inner life. And so in this life, there is no concept or need of police and hospital and psychiatrist and psychotherapist and different employment. There was no need of many therapists. If some country says, "Oh, we got so many therapists," it just means they are more into degradation. So here, this golden age, silver age, no lawyers and no courts and no hospitals. There is a society, there is life continues. Even there is birth and death, no sorrow, because they are soul conscious. This moment from silver age to the next age, it is called the copper age. This change from silver age to copper age, there is a huge fall that happens at that time. this is remembered in scriptures. In what way is it remembered in scriptures? Christian scriptures also. How is it remembered? From Silver Age to Copper Age. Paradise Lost.
Someone's referred to Adam and Eve story in the chat. That was a little earlier. Exodus. If I pronounced it right.
Exodus, what is that? Is it the same?
Sure. I don't know actually. Didn't attend Sunday school.
Is there a reference in scriptures?
There's mass departure of people. That that was this departure of Israelites from Egypt. So maybe something different. Religion.
Yeah. Garden of Eden, Adam eating the apple, and then he doesn't deserve the Garden of Eden. He's sent to earth. So now we are understanding it was not just one Adam, it is the community, whole community of Adam. And we are also understanding it is not just one apple. Adam has been eating apples for a while. Starts eating apple pie. And so no more garden. And so he finds himself in a completely different world. And this is a world where there is suffering and desires, and they are insecure because he's thinking his body is me. They're fully into the Ravan's camp. Ravan cannot see what is subtle. So he is thinking Cinderella is me. And now he is into panic. He has got everything to lose. There is death. And in this story, there are dragons and there are villains. So Ravan's department. Ravan is fully into action. That is the copper age of mankind. This is the time where the scriptures begin. In Golden Age, Silver Age, there is no concept of God. There is no need of scriptures. There are no need of spiritual practices because they were embodiment of the ideas. In the Copper Age, there is need of scriptures. There are temples and churches and all this, and prophets come, and in different parts, different places, and different prophets come, start up religions, and there are sages and rituals, and people want to come out of this sorrow, and people want to come out of this abnormal life. In one nice prayer in Upanishads, which is Indian scripture prayer, take me from darkness into light, take me from mortality into immortality, take me into false, into truth. Now these are prayers, but they cannot. They are praying. At least they understand that they are going into falsehood. They are going into darkness. They are going into mortality, and they have lost immortality. They understand this. But Ravan's momentum is going on, and next is they find themselves in a worse situation. That is the Iron Age. Iron Age of mankind. And this is like a full darkness where you don't talk about soul, don't want to know about soul. This appears normal. What we said in different times, where you don't know that you don't know. It means this is normal. In the Cinderella world, this is our world. Don't question it. And you create structures based on it. You teach people, you teach children about this. It is in full ignorance. the society continues. Foundation is ignorance, and that's why you can't have long-term results or long-term. There's collapse, and that the whole structure is so false. That is Iron Age of mankind. Where do you think we are? Who thinks we are in the Golden Age? And who thinks we are in the Silver Age? Boris Johnson, one prime minister in this country, he thought we were in the Golden Age. I don't know if he's still saying this is the Golden Age. Starmer in charge.
That was just before COVID-19. So you might think we're in the Copper Age. No. So we've got a few responses. Consensus that it is the Iron Age.
Yeah. In fact, we are towards the end of Iron Age. What happens at the end of Iron Age?
There's an arrow pointing out.
Yeah, at the end of Iron Age, we find ourselves in this world. We said that is 4 ages. These words, golden, silver, copper, iron, these words were first used by Plato in Greece. In Sanskrit, we use the different words, like golden age. Instead of golden, we say age of truth, Satyug, and Treta Yuga, and Dwapar Yuga. And Iron Age, we say dark age. It is like a full darkness. But then there is another age that is the last part of the Iron Age. We call it Confluence Age. And this is the age of transformation from full darkness, coming to full light. It suddenly, from Iron Age, you don't get. Next is Golden Age. All of you wake up and you are in the Golden Age, because inner change has to happen. We said at the end of Iron Age, we are in a state where there is full degradation. That is the life. And at the beginning of the Golden Age, we are talking about day and night here. Huge transformation. Unless this happens, we cannot have Golden Age. It is not some technology or something will create a Golden Age. The shift of consciousness, souls have to be right, and that is what creates the Golden Age. And this change is not as easy as one might think. You might think, of course, creating Golden Age, everyone will cooperate. But no one cooperates. Why? Why you think no one cooperates? Literally, 100% that starts with non-cooperation. Why? 100%, including you and me, the creation of the Golden Age, there will be beginning is with non-cooperation. Why?
Like shaking the apple cart, as it were, to take the apple analogy. They don't believe in the time we're in, maybe comfortable in the better the devil you know. They all feel they are doing good things. We've become individual, like individualization, so that is prized above truth, maybe.
This shift of consciousness we are talking about, it involves removing ego. And it is a great idea, yes, removing ego, yes, I want to be egoless. But ego doesn't want to become egoless. Ego wants to become bigger ego. He wants super ego. He doesn't say, wow, great idea, I'm going to die. He gives a fight. That's why even in you and in me, ego within us wants to stop this, internally. It doesn't like this idea at all. Or the Maya, we saw all the cleverness of Maya. It is in us. It is not in someone else. That cleverness will come to postpone it, to delay it, to distort it. But um, Maya wants to help the ego. So this is the game, but process starts, and there are some who are winners, some are losers. That we sort of discussed. But certain people bring about a change, and that is enough. Big revolutions have happened with very, very few people. Lenin had only 14,000 people with him, and half the world became communist for a long time, with him. So here we are talking about certain number of people bringing about the change. Understand, they use the method, stop the ego. They don't become friends with it. Now this change, this confluence age, two things happen in the confluence age to bring about this transformation. And two things are needed to bring about this transformation. What are the two things? To bring about any change, you need two things. What are the two things? And that is what happens here also.
Determination, knowledge, power. Someone else is echoing knowledge.
Yeah, that's good. So one thing we need is new knowledge. And we have to see it in the context. Here is a time there were deities, we are talking about perfect men, and then there were great kings, and then there were scholars and the prophets and Christ, people like this. Many, many wonderful people, have played the parts. Scholars and philosophers and Mahatmas and people like Gandhi, and they were all great, great people at different times. And we are still coming down. Understand this. They are writing scriptures and they are writing books, and many, many people took benefits. The scientists are coming with their great ideas, and even AI has also come. ChatGPT has also come.
And that doesn't want to die either. That's what someone's commented. Wants to survive.
Yeah. And in spite of that, we find ourselves in Iron Age. So in spite of even ChatGPT, that is shocking. But to bring about this change, you need new knowledge, new injection, and a new understanding, new insight. If it is the same thing you reshuffle and reshuffle, that is not going to create heaven all of a sudden. In fact, we are seeing it is going down. It is the same reflection we saw from deity, it become merchant, and then Shudra, and the same thing reflects here. As you go, we are all coming down. But new knowledge is required. And what is the second thing? Second thing is pain. If there is pain, pain forces people to change. These are, as we said, two things change, contribute to change. One is wisdom, or pain. If wisdom doesn't, if someone is not using wisdom, then pain comes. If one learns before pain, it is wisdom. So here the machinery of pain starts. In other words, all these Vinash forces that are there, that's the time it is released in a big way. And when it is released, then there is a machinery of pain, different kinds of pain. And no place is exempt in this. We might think we are in some castle somewhere and we are all safe. But Vinash forces, they can bypass castle. But the Vinash forces are also there to help us. Vinash forces, they are Vinash for Ravan, but they are there to free you from Ravan. They free the angel from Ravan. But at a physical level, that means there will be a huge chaos. We are talking here nearing 8 billion. This sort of number who are not bringing about change by themselves, a very small percentage want to bring about change. To begin with, very small percentage want to know about anything like this. And even amongst those who know, to take it to the next level is even smaller. So the number is small, and the machinery of pain then is released. And most learn through pain. We are talking here billions in a very short time. And so it will mean big chaos. What we saw with COVID-19, things like that, it is very small. It is there is no comparison. It is hardly any message there. But what is required to help souls to really drop their Ravan needs real pain. I'll give you one example. Someone I know, she likes coffee, and she said, "I will never give up coffee in my life." This kind of statement I heard. And then she gets headaches, and she gets headaches when she drinks coffee. So she has to try other brands of coffee, still getting headaches. She has to take less coffee and then stop coffee. And then I heard her saying, if I just think of coffee, I get palpitations. And so just to drop one attachment, and your nature has to give so much pain, and individuals will try to negotiate with Ravan as much as possible. And the level that is required is you don't even think of. You become so free, there is no pull of any kind. We are saying this is a foreign world, and a foreign world, in your heart, there should be no dependency of any kind. And that is what we have to achieve through wisdom. Then you get a big prize. Then you are worthy of golden age if you bring about this change through your own wisdom. If it is not done, then you don't get a prize of golden age. Then the other prizes come. Here we said the cycle, but not everyone starts at the beginning. Population is very small to begin with, and new ones join as we go along at different times. That's why the population continues to grow. If you see the graph of the human population, in spite of all kinds of wars and deaths and all this is happening, but the graph shows continuous, very steady not irregular growth, very steady growth of the population, which means once we come here, no one goes back. No one can go back. We are here. And we take birth and rebirth, and then newborns join. And when we reach the end of the Iron Age, suddenly there is a huge, all those who are in the home, they all come down. So very lots of the growth of population in the last phase of the Iron Age. So this message tells us we are now in the confluence age, and we are towards the later phase of the confluence age. Means we are very close to to the machinery of Vinash forces. This is what this message is telling us.
You say knowledge is the pull and the Vinesh force is the push.
Yeah.
It feels like this is very much connected to time, the context, and it is the right thing for this time. So it's connected to recognition of the age that we're at, which is why this subject puts context to everything mentioned in a way so far.
I've also mentioned any questions, and it will be nice to hear. We said cosmology, we are understanding about this creation, the world. We are just using the word creation, but it is not, it is eternal. This film is eternal. No one has created it. It exists forever. We need to use paras to understand this.
So I think so. So please continue.
Yeah, whole film always existed. Golden Age, just like any film, it is there. It may be projected at a certain time, and certain slides are seen on the screen, but the film exists. And in the same way, this film is eternal. It exists. We are experiencing it at a certain point. We are at a certain point at any moment in this model.
It seems to come to this, you need the Paris intellect to grasp, because you can rationalize that we are guests, and this raises a kind of question of really grasping this as a secondary world, and things are not linear. It's not that you're born, you live, and you die, and that's it. There's this continuity, and we have to as if take ourselves on that journey of these steps, but also experience. But you need the Paris. So I guess one question is, at some stage, someone might find this is not, they haven't got the conviction about it. It is, they don't want to believe. So is it possible to take benefit from these ideas and not necessarily believe in the cyclical time at this stage? What would you say to someone?
Yeah, definitely. Some of these areas, we often say this, hear it, keep it in the back of the mind, but get on with psychology is the most important part. Even yesterday we said all this understanding of different clans and all, nice to understand sociology, but it is still drama. It is story. Different models to explain about details of the story. But our bread and butter is getting the inner work done. And in its own time, as Paras becomes stronger and as we get more subtle, and we will understand many things which is difficult to understand on the first day. But there is no rush.
Yeah, that's helpful to be reminded. Someone is asking, can you determine the duration of the cycle in this moment?
determine, we can never know, even our own age, unless someone tells you, it is not possible. Someone says, I am certain age. Such is the dimension of time. But here, when we are talking about the story and film, the one who is the director and producer, he has the authority to tell us. One who stays out of this whole thing is the authority. And there are details about this, but enough for us to know that film is not based upon what you see. The duration of the film is not based upon what you see inside the film. Film can be of just 15 minutes, but in the film you are seeing people who appear to be 90 years of age. And so many things you see also, within film. Something is built, something is destroyed, there's wars, and then they get old. You see a scenario of 100 years when the film is just of half an hour. So you need to understand this, so there many details are seen within the film, but duration of the film is something different. It is not based upon the script. So here this film can be very, very short. Duration can be very short of this film. There is no way of knowing it in ourselves based upon one life or based upon my experience. This knowledge says this duration is of 5,000 years, or it is in thousands of years rather than millions or billions of years. And it also says that we are very close to this huge transformation from Iron Age to Golden Age, very close. This life and this birth is the final birth. And just we mentioned the other day, one professor in Cambridge, astronomy professor called Martin Rees, and is in his book, he says this is the final century. So, and he's giving 13 different reasons why this is the final century. So there may be many others who may be agreeing with this. It is not based upon just people are, may fight and use bombs. It is not just based on that. He gives 13 different reasons. So this may be our very close to the age of truth.
Could you speak a bit about the other perspectives of seeing future, which also help understand this model? Because one of the aspects of paranormal and putting, on the shelf that can't be explained when people see future events.
No, sure. It will be nice to hear from some others, maybe from Sarah also, but there are people who are able to see the future in the various writings. They write about the golden age of mankind. They write about the age of truth in the prophets, different prophecies. Nostradamus, in his writings. Anyone has not heard of Nostradamus? Just to give you some background, he was born in late 1490s, so 5-6 centuries, ago. And then during his time, he was a healer, but there was some supernatural powers in France. But then he realized, and others realized, he could tell the future, future of the, and his even classmates were very curious he could tell what is going to happen next, what teacher is going to say. He was going to tell, it was a bit, children's fun to be with him. And as time progressed, he was able to write what was going to happen in France and what was going to happen to Europe. He wrote about Napoleon's, and to begin with Marie Antoinette's life, and wrote about First War, Second War, and some names. It comes out with names also. One very interesting observation about him. He writes 500 men will attack Palace of Tiles. He mentions this. Palace of Tiles was built 180 years after he wrote this by Marie Antoinette, and she called it Palace of Tiles. And history books say 500 men attacked the Palace of Tiles during the French Revolution. So you get an idea how accurate he gets it. And he speaks of First War, Second War, Third War. He uses the expression, the planet will be undone. He doesn't speak of that with the Second World War. Planet is undone, planet is undone. But he also speaks of the golden age of man. He speaks about age of truth. He uses these expressions, age of truth. Age of truth will last for 1,000 years. This kind of a statement he comes with. And those who are scholars studying Nostradam, they say, how is that possible? He speaks about such destruction, and that we all lose all our technology, and human race will go back to Stone Age. And how can there be Golden Age after this? How do you explain this? If there is a destruction on the scale he speaks about, the civilization is lost. We lose this civilization. Just the human beings on some remote forests and mountains, they will survive. And so how can you get Golden Age?
Cultivation, not destruction, only transformation. What was the question again? Sorry.
How do you get Golden Age all of a sudden?
Yes. A good question.
In spite of collapse. Yeah, Golden Age, as we are talking about film, we are talking about a film. Golden Age already exists, but the access to experience Golden Age is that noble consciousness. You need that shift of consciousness that allows you to access the Golden Age. If that consciousness is not there, then we cannot access it. So what happens right now is the shift of consciousness. Golden Age is a creation of consciousness, not creation of technology. I was thinking, we will have a few minutes of attention, experience, and we'll see if any questions, but then we'll also have some time for room discussion, and then we will be meeting again. And during this time, let us we'll come back to we step out of this film and come to our real world. And this is the world of the family. Alaukic, that is a nice word we have to remember. Alaukic, unearthly, just means it is not a film. It is not a story world, it is a real world, eternal world. It is a Ravan-free world. That's why if Ravan is not there, if demon is not there, we can use the word divine. People are naturally good, clean. They are good inside out, innocent. Ravan's cunningness doesn't exist. World of God, world with God, world of perfection. Everyone is lovely and loving. Happiness and content. Subtle, because it is not made of the stuff film is made of. Different. And these invisible travelers come into this film world as audience. They are not even actors in this film. They are audience watching the film. Very happy to watch. Very happy to step back. Thank you. I thought we'll have a shorter break today, but discussion will create some time for discussion, but less time, and then we meet and connect with India very soon.
Would you like to pose a question for the discussion?
What are your thoughts on this model, radical model? It is very radical, but it has more power than the models that we teach in schools, because this can explain more things. As we said, if there is a system where heart itself is not understood, that is an incomplete system. So this model incorporates the journey of the soul, that gives it the advantage of coming closer to truth. And it has answers to what is considered paranormal. There are answers with this. We won't go into discussion of paranormal, but you can very easily work out various, like even what we said about Nostradamus, seeing the future. we can say, of course, it is possible to see the future because there is a film. Film exists. There are some who can fast forward and see what is going on and come back. But film exists, that's why they could come and tell you.
Yeah, it's good to play with the idea, see how we understand, but also realizing that we're dealing with a model and see this.
Are there any questions? Otherwise,
not questions. Yeah, we can go now. Yeah, and meet back in just over 10 minutes. Thank you. Well, welcome back, and it's a nice, even little short rooms maybe, but this opportunity to connect on this subject. So should we go straight to Prashant? Would like to share some further aspects? Keep.
Yeah, also opportunity for you to ask anything over the last few days. And now, because this will be our last meeting at this time, and there will be opportunities to meet in subsequent follow-up sessions. So it is a good time to ask. And if you want to ask anything to Sister Jayanti, you can keep the questions ready. There will be some opportunity to ask. But based on the subject of today, and as we are saying, this is a radical subject and a new way of looking at things. Those who are hearing it for the first time, but also to understand this is like we are not trying to judge this based on other models. Other models are incomplete models, so we can't use those models to try and verify this model. So seeing this model independently, and you'll find there is benefit.
Model has to be seen in its own right. Someone is asking, as we've come to understand, this is the time of transformation. It is happening and will continue. And the message is not to indulge, to be the honourable guest. But others don't want to know, and they may call us non-progressive. In the face of that scenario, what should we do? What are your thoughts? Ravan will say it's non-progressive in Ravan's kingdom.
Progressive, they are bringing about destruction of this whole planet, in the name of progress. Yeah, what was said, that is so accurate. When we don't even know the complete map, we can't even think of the progress. We don't even know ourselves even. So such is the darkness. We are in this dark age. And so to come out of that darkness would be the first step for any progress. But what we are also seeing, once the foundation is right, then everything else falls in place. That essence. Ordinarily, people are ignoring the foundation. They just want to whitewash and keep it going.
In a way, maybe it's about having the courage of our convictions, and that's why to really experience the contrast of the mind that is free, and we'll understand ourselves more clearly.
Yeah, excellent.
Right now, there aren't any other questions. So this
And then maybe I'll tell you one story, and I'll tell it in essence. And this story is in a book by Peter Russell. He's a physicist. And the book is on environment. And what he says, one train has gone off the rails heading towards a cliff, and driver had jumped out, so there is no driver. And the passengers are in the party. They don't want to hear about anything else. They are so engrossed in the party. He says planet Earth is in the position of this train. Train is heading towards a cliff and the passengers are in the party. Is it like that in your city? Is there a party? Are the passengers busy in the party? Or so in such a world, he's asking, what will be your sign of love if your loved ones are in the train with you? And what will you do to yourselves? Will you give others the cakes? Will you find a good cabin for you in this situation because you love yourself so much? What will be the sign of being sensible? So obviously, the sign of being sensible is to come out of the train. So here, every time I am thinking of the world beyond, you are coming out of the train. Every time you are aware of the invisible guest, detaching from this world, you are coming out of the train. Every time you are creating new attachment, you are tying yourselves in this sinking train. And some intense attachments, they are double knots. The addictions and all, they are double knots. And lust in any form, they are like triple knots, because the soul gets trapped in this sinking train at many levels. And so the last moment he may realize, I am in danger, I have to come out of the train. But there are knots that stop him coming out of this or delay the process. This is our journey after now. We may realize that we want to come out of the train, but the process, time is taken to understand the knots and to come out of the knots. There is a nice saying, you come to know your chains only when you start to move. If you are not moving, you don't know your chains. So here we are in this situation. Everyone is in a party and they don't even know that there are chains. They might think that they will come out when they choose, but it is not just a decision. You have to then undo the knots. So that is the story.
Yeah, beautiful. It gives the context of everything in a sense. So as was mentioned, there is a follow-up and we will stay connected with all of you. There is monthly advanced Sanjeevani retreats. Next subject will be Guhya Gyan, about the deeper hidden aspects of these ideas. And one beautiful question in the chat will be taken up in the follow-up session. You'll get the connected recording about the context of God in this model of time. I will also send the link to your local center if you're not already connected. And yeah, we're really, really happy to be welcoming in Sister Genti, who's joining us from India. And we've got a kind of question, if you like, connected to why spirituality is essential in addressing the challenges we see in the world today, a kind of general topic. And after some time, we're very happy to hear any questions, any thoughts you have for Gentiben. And perhaps before we come into the discussion, it would be nice to share a few minutes of silence, and we call it drishti. So sort of meeting through the eyes, and it would be lovely for those who are not in camera who feel comfortable to come into camera, then Genti can see all of you. So we're joined by this wonderful global family. So yeah, warm welcome, and let me let Sister Genti also come into sound, but we can start with some silence also. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Happy to meet you all. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, sound is very good. Thank you.
Good. The topic I've been given is spirituality, and in particular, spirituality and its need in these very uncertain times. Who would have anticipated the situation we find ourselves in with 3 major wars? One is the war with Iran, the other is the war with Gaza, the other is the war with Ukraine. And certainly, even 5 years ago, we wouldn't have anticipated. But even a month ago, we wouldn't have anticipated what's erupted in the Middle East. And so times are very, very uncertain. And I managed to catch the end of Brother Prashant's story about the cliff. And yes, that's absolutely the situation today. We're approaching a cliff, and it's not like it's going to take us hours to get there. In terms of time, it's just a very, very short time it's going to take to get us to the edge of the cliff. And so at this moment especially, there are 4 things about spirituality that help every one of us in a very beautiful way. 1, to understand that I'm not the physical body, but I'm something more than that. I am that inner being within this vehicle, this body of mine. And the more I focus on the awareness of my intrinsic identity, my true identity, I'm able to connect with the truth and the peace that lies within. While my attention is focused on the party, then my attention is totally out there, and I'm not able to understand what is peace. I don't know what is truth. I'm very far away from reality. I'm in a world of illusion. But when I get to understand that I am that inner being, and I connect with myself, in that awareness, that state of being the soul is very powerful, and I'm able to connect with the intrinsic qualities that the soul carries: the peace, the love, the truth, the purity, the joy. And the second is to be able to understand and develop a relationship with the divine. And firstly, I have to understand. And part of that understanding is that it's not possible to connect to the divine with words or with speeches or anything external, because just as I, the inner being, am actually just a tiny point of energy, a tiny point of light, spiritual energy, in the same way, the divine is the same, doesn't have a physical body, and so my words don't reach. It's only through my mind, the soul, that I can reach the divine. And in order to be able to connect with the divine, I need to be able to experience I, the soul, detached from this body. And in that awareness, I can feel the presence of the divine. My frequency on the physical level doesn't allow me to experience the divine. But the more I maintain my consciousness of the inner being, to that extent, I'm able to feel the presence of the divine and make that connection with the source. And because I'm connecting with the source of all positive attributes, I'm able to draw those qualities within my own inner world. The feeling of emptiness that many individuals speak about at the current moment, it's because there is no connection with the self, and it's because the soul has become empty. It doesn't know how to connect with the treasures that are already there within. And the connecting with God, the Supreme, the Source, the Divine, awakens what is within my own inner being. And so it's an inner state of being in which I can fill myself and feel myself becoming full and complete. And so the emptiness I was feeling was very real. I wasn't able to feel the treasures within. I had no key, I had no access. And this is why then we search for stimulation, we search for external things, whether it's parties or anything else. But of course, it works only on a temporary basis, or maybe it doesn't even work at all. You get to a point where you're now bored with parties. It doesn't give you any stimulation. It doesn't give you the feelings you would like to have. And so that journey to the source and that connection of the soul and the mind, the heart, the awareness with that source means I start receiving, and it also awakens what is within me. And so it's very easy to be very full, very content, without any need for dependencies on substances or people or situations. Whether I get a promotion, I don't get a promotion, it's out there. My inner contentment is something else. But I also need the connection with the divine to actually have spiritual power. And this is so important in today's world, especially because I don't know what lies ahead. I'm making decisions in the dark. What's round the corner? Who knows? And there's nobody who can tell me, because nobody has lived through a situation like we're going through now. A moment when it feels like the economy is on the brink and is about to crash. We've already seen the crash of values. We've seen the crash of families. We've seen the crash of the environment. We've gone beyond the tipping points that the scientists had spoken about. And so we're really already not just at the edge, but we're falling into the abyss. And so how do I make decisions? The power that I receive from the divine is giving me the energy, the strength to see things beyond which my eyes can see. I'm seeing things with my inner eye. I'm understanding things from a spiritual perspective, which is very different to looking at things from the physical perspective. And so I definitely need to connect with the source and regain my own inner power and build that power up so that I reach the fullness of my capacity. And the third thing I need to understand is the philosophy of action and reaction. which in India is called the philosophy of karma. I throw a ball and it's going to hit a wall and rebound. Even if there's no wall, at some point I throw a ball and it's going to fall to the ground. So going up, but coming down again. So cause and effect. It's very helpful to understand this in the context of today's world. Why are we in the situation that we find ourselves in today? And we can look around and see that it's a very crazy world, that we've created it. We've not followed the spiritual laws of nature. And so we see extreme changes in climate. We see extreme heat. We see drought. We see floods, everything to an extreme. In India, it's now just the beginning of April, and it's already temperatures in the 30s. And the heat is going to grow and grow till the monsoons come. And usually they used to come in this part of India, Rajasthan. They used to come, there was a specific date. 10th of June is when the monsoons used to come. But for many years now, that date has become a very flexible date. It can be sometime at the end of June, it can be sometime in July, and sometimes the date never comes. The monsoons don't come. So we're seeing a very vicious circle, which is actually because humans have intervened with violence and aggression within the cycles of nature. So the cause and effect, the law of karma, we're feeling the feedback of that now. And even the economy, where there's no integrity, where there's no honesty, where there's no understanding of the laws of human relationships and how they should work, well, you can see that things collapse. So I need to understand that. What is the law of karma? And the fourth thing I need to understand is, what time is it? You know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you don't need to, but you have this urge to go eat something. Well, there's a system that the body relates to. You have your breakfast, you have your lunch, you have your dinner, and you let yourself rest. And for a few hours, the body needs to settle. But instead, now you're not able to sleep, maybe for whatever reason. There's too many things going on. I've been too attached to my devices. And so instead of giving myself a break and half an hour at least grace before I try and sleep, I'm on my devices till the very last moment, or I even keep my devices by my pillow so that I can pick them up and see if there's any messages that may have come. So this disturbance in patterns of sleep, and then disturbance in patterns of eating and behavior, instead of understanding the sequence of day and evening and night and so on, I'm jumbling everything around. But never mind the 24-hour clock. There's a bigger clock, and that is the clock of the cycle of time. And so there's a period when it's spring, another period when it's summer, and another period when it's autumn, and another period when it's winter. And then from winter, even though everything seems dark and dire, but in fact, we're just waiting for spring to begin. And so on the one side, it's a story of the cliff, but on the other side is a story of the dark winter night, and beyond that, there's going to be the spring. And so did I plant the seeds that I needed to in autumn so that I can enjoy them in spring? Or was I lazy and sat back in my chair and thought, well, yes, I can see that the next door neighbor is planting, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to get off from my comfy chair. well, if I haven't understood the law of karma, then spring comes, but I don't enjoy it. I'm seeing the flowers next door, but my garden is bare. So understanding what time it is and what I need to do at this particular moment of time is very, very important. And so spirituality covers all of these aspects plus more. So can I begin my journey firstly by going into silence and connecting with myself, and secondly by connecting with the divine, so that I'm able to allow the highest qualities that are there within my own inner world to emerge, and so be able to reach my own highest potential. And all of this is actually not so difficult. And when you hear these ideas, usually there's a resonance within the inner world. And maybe it's even that you've thought about these things quite a bit and then decided, well, I'm not going to bother about them at the moment. I've got to earn my living. I've got to pay the mortgage. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. But maybe now is the time, and the way things are going in human history, I think we've got a very short time in which we can make conscious choices. Beyond this little window of time, I think the scenes of drama will take over and we'll be pushed in different directions. We won't be able to make conscious choices. But this is a time to make a conscious choice of where do I want to be? Do I want to go off the cliff? Do I want to be able to stay up above and see the beauty of the drama and understand the signals of the drama? So let me pause here and see if there are any questions or comments that you would like to make. We have about 10 minutes more.
Yeah, very welcome to put in the chat. And while others are thinking, I just wanted to respond the wisdom of a routine, which you brought up. And recently, someone shared with me that cortisol, which is associated with stress, actually comes when there's uncertainty. And if things are left open, so if we can create closure on tasks, like mentally let them go at the end of the day and create patterns of like structure, it looks like it doesn't make a difference to the world, but actually it creates a rhythm and reduces that uncertainty and stress. And I think that it's something which is a big part of a lifestyle. And one thing I wanted to bring up, that a comment was made earlier, that people can get very afraid talking about predictions of end of the world and the age. There's also sometimes numbness. We might not feel it either. That's one thing, but also for ourselves, might notice, those feelings. So you mentioned integrity and honesty. How is it that you can notice those feelings and honor them, and the aspects of knowledge that can kind of shift into that security and spirituality, which is really what our primary reality is?
If I realize that my natural inner state of being is of goodness, and I can feel that I'm more comfortable when I'm peaceful, when I'm loving, when I'm honest, and when I experiment with this idea more and more of just going inwards and staying in that awareness of my original state of being, I realize that the highest qualities, the most beautiful qualities, are there within the soul already. And the more I maintain my awareness as that inner being of light, the more access I have to those qualities. And so it's not hard work. It's actually just removing all the rubbish that's covering up the beauty of the soul. And I'm able to access that beauty and begin to use those qualities in my life once more. And especially if it's not just the awareness of the inner being, the soul, but it's also the connection with the divine, then that also enhances and intensifies this journey in which I'm uncovering those qualities within. So now, instead of operating with stress, instead of operating with anger, I'm using those beautiful qualities in my life so that my world around me begins to change and I'm able to experience the beauty.
And I think that might answer the question that just came up about a quick way to have a higher consciousness, because actually it already exists. We just need to, as if, revisit and let go in a sense. I had a question, and it might also connect to something that's just dropped in about last go fast. It feels like we have a counter force in our spiritual journey, which is our own lower consciousness. We can call it ego, and it gets more tricky, more subtle, and it adapts, if you like. It can become harder to detect. What's your experience of observing it and staying with our integrity and becoming free from these more refined forms?
It's a reality that I don't have enemies outside. The enemy is within. And the negative forces that have been my friends until now are actually my enemies. I thought my ego was going to support me in my journey up the ladder towards becoming the CEO or whatever it may be. But in fact, my ego is the lower self. The awareness of the inner being is self esteem and self respect, which is very different to ego. And then, yes, in that state of self esteem, I'm in touch with my own inner world and I'm able to have dignity. And that dignity is not touched by anything that goes on outside. I'm able to maintain respect for myself. And so, if I find I'm being disrespectful to others, if I find that I'm feeling unhappy because somebody didn't respect me or didn't acknowledge how I wanted to be acknowledged, well, all these are the subtle signs of ego that's crashing in and taking me away from my own inner state of respecting myself and that state in which I love myself. And so spirituality teaches me how to have that deep inner awareness in which the highest truth is there within me, but I'm able to feel it and I'm able to move with that inner truth in the world out there. Instead of being impacted by all the things of going on in the world outside, it's my truth that will then guide me. And yes, there's not just ego that's waiting to trip me up, but attachments. Prashant Bhai was talking about the knots. And yes, it's true that lust is a big, big knot. Maybe it's a double knot, but equally attachment. And we feel attachment is natural. No, love is natural, but love doesn't mean possessiveness. Love doesn't mean control. Love doesn't mean obedience from the other. Love is a natural act of giving, not taking. And so we've not understood any of these things until we begin that inner journey of spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a nice way to observe when we feel a little insulted, even slightly, but also giving away power, which is perhaps connected to attachment. And would you add anything to this question then about this phrase, which is sometimes mentioned in these ideas, last go fast? She's saying she feels she has received this knowledge quite late. And you also mentioned awareness of time. So when the time is less, how can we rise fast and reach this deity phase? Anything you'd like to add?
At the moment, there's a huge amount of knowledge I can access, which is very clear. And if I just take it a step at a time, just moving in that direction, I'll find I'm able to imbibe it in my life in a very natural way. And so that's one reason. Earlier times, the body of knowledge wasn't as clear. Now it's extremely clear. And the second aspect is that there are many others who have traveled the path before me. So I don't need to learn from scratch every time. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I can learn from their experiences, and they're all very willing to share. And so, as I take advantage of those who have traveled on the road before me, that also helps me move forward fast very quickly.
It's like spiritual leapfrogging in a way.
Correct.
And then maybe we have time for one quick question. Just something has come in now. Can we give to those around us who are not acquainted with the inner world and only affected by the outer world? Although she's saying perhaps it was just answered. But yeah, I mean, how we want to give, but sometimes people are just, words are not always helpful. But if there's any advice on that.
People see a lot from just your face and your behavior. And so, if those around you have noticed you becoming calmer, more loving, maybe more receptive and flexible in terms of communicating, they'll begin to ask the question, well, what are you doing? And if you tell them, I meditate, it's become a nice catchword that people relate to very quickly. It's become fashionable to meditate. And so if I mention that I'm meditating and this is where all these positive changes have happened, they'll be interested to learn and find out more. So it's not through words that those close to me will accept what I believe in, but when it has an impact on my behavior and they can see in practical terms that transformation, then they'll listen.
Actions speak louder than words, and in this case, thoughts are kind of actions and your presence. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know whether I would be able to. It's a very short question because we've just come to the end of this retreat, as you know, and there's a wonderful feeling because we've all, through this presence and contribution of everyone, to maintain that momentum. Is there one important focus that helps us not lose what we've gained when there's been this sort of attention?
I would suggest create me time, which means before the family is up, before the telephone starts ringing, wake up that little bit earlier and let that be the time and space which is just for me. And in that, spend a little bit of time in silence in the way that you've been hearing about. And secondly, also read up on the notes you've made. I hope you've made notes through your intensive course. But apart from the notes, you might also just want to recap inside the things that you've learned. And so, feeding the soul spiritual understanding is the nourishment the soul needs. And spending time in silence is a time to experience. I need both things. I need to study to understand more deeply, but I also need to have time to experience the things that I've been studying about. So make time for yourself each day to both of these things. The best is, of course, before the day begins for everybody else. If you meditate at night, that's also fine. But the meditation in the morning is a real preparation for the whole day. And so it's immensely valuable.
Feels like one of the highest forms of self-respect is to do this, and also we'll have more presence for others, presence of our time. Yeah, thank you, and we will let you. I'm sure you have many programs, so it's really wonderful that you could create this time. So we look forward to meeting Madhaban, and for those who've not been, I'm sure you'll get to meet. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Prashant. And thank you to everyone. Om Shanti. Namaste.
Shanti. Rightly said, and we all help each other, and everyone is walking this path. So I want to thank all of you because really it creates a momentum, and as we say, we'll stay in touch. Prashant, would you like to add anything? Any final thoughts?
Yes, we'll stay in touch. And good idea. and definitely the revision that we mentioned, and we learn from ourselves. That is the most important thing. And some triggers, some of these ideas, they are like triggers that bring out things from yourselves. And you will find when you go through them over again, after a month or something like this, you will notice that new things emerge, and you notice new things. And it is a nice process, of dealing with this something that is nourishment for the angel within us. So all the best to the angels.
Thank you. And the question, are there classes recorded? Yes, we will share by email. And if you don't get the email, please check the spam because that's the possibility. So we'll finish with a song to celebrate this end of the retreat. And thank you so much.
We're not just bodies playing our part in this earthly drama, blind to depart. But deep inside there's a truth we can see. It is not our world for eternity. The silence calls, it's the world we belong, a realm of peace where we are strong. Awaken now to the world of the soul. This earth is a shadow, the true world's whole. Beyond the noise, beyond the race, there's a silent world, a sacred space. We are eternal, pure and free. The riches of the soul world we truly see. This world of illusion, so loud and so bright, is not our home, it's not our light. We are the essence beyond all form. Knowing the soul world, we are transformed. The Father of peace, He calls us near. In His silence, there's nothing to fear. Awaken now to the world of the soul. This earth is a shadow, the true world's whole. Beyond the noise, beyond the race, there's a silent world, a sacred space. We are eternal, pure and free. The riches of the soul world we truly see. The Father Supreme, the ocean of light. In the soul world we find our sight. Pure and peaceful beyond the sky. In His embrace we rise, we fly. No harm can touch no pain can stay. To the soul world we find our way. Awaken now to the world of the soul. This earth is a shadow, the true world's whole. Beyond the noise, beyond the race, there's a silent world, a sacred space. We are eternal, pure and free. The riches of the soul world we truly see.
Thank you.